Hey friends, welcome back to Reel It In with Will and Tucker. My name is Will.
And I'm Tucker.
It never
the
gets
other
old.
guy. Yeah. I've
Just
never figured out how
go.
to say it naturally.
And I'm Tucker.
And Tucker's here too.
And Tucker's here as well. No, Tucker, you should be the one introducing this soon.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But this is Reel It In, a podcast where we two friends, not the two friends though, talk about movies. But we catch new releases and toss new releases, letting you know which ones are worth seeing in the theaters and which ones maybe you should pass on. That's at least the formula for right now. Maybe we're going to switch it up. Who knows? I don't know. We'll talk about it later. This week, we're going to be talking about Tron Ares and Black Phone 2. Both of us got a chance to see Tron Ares, and then Tucker got a chance to see Black Phone 2 this past weekend. Tucker and I have been talking about movies like this for the past decade since we've been in college together, and we just decided we are going to catch up, chat with each other, put a microphone in front of our faces, and put it out into the ether to see who wants to listen.
I love the ether. I love the ether.
Well, you know, the ether is ever present.
That's what Tron's about, man.
Let's not get into it yet. But for right now, let's drop a line
and dive in.
It's been a couple weeks since we last chatted. I know we're going to talk about Tron, Ares, and Black Phone 2 as our main topics today, but I wanted to see if you had any recommendations from the past couple weeks of watching films. Have you watched anything that you would suggest to the audience to catch?
Yeah, so I've been doing every October, me and my wife try to do a big, we try to watch at least one scary movie a night. That has not been working out for us because, life has been stacking on top of us. Yeah. But, we're surviving. We're persevering. It's mostly drama centered around cats, which is just exactly what you want.
It's so thrilling because cats are so chill until they're not, at which point they are the worst animals known to man.
No, yeah, they are extremely unpredictable. So they are either the spectrum is this is the best animal you could own, or this is the worst possible thing. They're currently fighting through the door right now. Well, they're not fighting, they're playing, but they're just swatting at each other. I think one of them is trying to tell the other to be quiet, which I appreciate.
Which also we do in our own homes, probably with each other.
Yeah, I'm constantly swatting at somebody from under the door.
Exactly.
No, but two movies that I'm really excited that I got to rewatch this year. They're on Shudder right now. It's Rec 1 and Rec 2, the found footage movies from Spain. I think the first one was remade in America. I think they just called it Quarantine. You probably recognize there's a really famous image at the end of this movie of like a woman being dragged under a bed with night vision camera. These are just the best found footage movies in my opinion. They're both 80 minutes long. You can turn one off and immediately turn on the second one. They made 4 of these movies. I've only seen the first 2, but I love them.
Is this from 2008?
Yeah. The first one is 2007, then the second one is 2009. And then I'm not sure when the American remake happened.
So they're really building on top of the found footage or movies that came before it. Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity. What makes these different than those?
I always forget about Paranormal Activity for some reason. I don't know why, that just leaves my mind. I think the thing that I really like about these movies in particular is even though it is found footage, they do an extensive amount of work to make sure you understand. It all takes place in one building. So you understand the building. You understand the layout of it. They introduce you to kind of a good variety of different kinds of people, the tenants of the building. They all have different, very distinct personalities. So even though the camera is, it's found footage, so it's pretty shaky and going all over the place, it's never to the point where you're what the fuck am I looking? It's still comprehensible the whole time.
Got it.
The other great thing is like this movie's got some dope lore. I don't know if lore is the right word, but like what it's about is just so like unique.
The themes and what it's trying to say, or more of the storytelling itself?
I think like the storytelling itself,
Okay.
it's you're trying to figure out if you're watching a zombie movie, a possession movie, is it both? Is it, and also like there's this like government conspiracy thing going on in the back where
Fun.
you're essentially following, it's this news reporter. She's got like this nightly segment on the news where it's like, we're going to show you what goes on in the city while you're asleep. So they're taking a tour of the fire station and they're like, this is what firefighters are doing when they're not fighting fires. And she's like, I kind of really hope something happens so that we can have something interesting for the show. And all the firefighters are like, don't say that. Doesn't that? No. So they get like a call. The firefighters are like, all right, come with us. And there's some people stuck in an apartment building. We're going to try to get them out. They get in the apartment building. Things are a little weird. They're like, shit, we need to leave. And now the doors are all locked from the outside. The windows are being patrolled. The government is there. And they're like, please stay away from the window. Please do not try to leave. And they're like, what?
Damn. All right. Okay. This did
and that's
not
where
go
like
in
the
direction I expected.
No, it's so different. It's like so it's so interesting just watching everything break down. Cause like there's a police officer in the building, there's two firefighters, there's the reporters, then there's the tenants. And so like everybody's arguing with the police officer and the firefighters, and they're like, guys, you have badges, just tell them to let us out. And they're like, we don't know what's happening. We were not communicated with.
It kind of reminds me in terms of the story a little bit. Kind of, have you seen is it Infested or Infestation? The horror film from France about the giant spiders, or the spiders that would like.
No. I had to skip that one because like I have such bad arachnophobia. I was like, this sounds like the spider.
It is a spider movie, but it has a very similar like, is the government behind this? Why are these people locked inside? It has a race and a class thing going on because this is only happening in this area of the city.
But it's like giant
sounds very
spiders
similar.
coming out.
But giant spiders, yeah, that's
Fuck
the other
that.
thing. Yeah,
I'd have to like genuine that Harry Potter with the giant spider in it, like that freaks me out.
But no
I'm
spiders
dreading.
in Wreck.
No spiders in Wreck. There's a very creepy person who's very tall and like almost unrealistically lanky, and I was like, I wonder how they created this person. And then I looked it up and it's just a very 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 tall person with prosthetics, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it usually
I'm so
is.
sorry. I'm so sorry. So man, thank you for
But you
your
can
work.
catch it on Shudder.
Yes, you can catch all of the Rec movies are on Shudder. I think just the first one is on Criterion Channel right now. These are real, yeah, they're just really fun movies. They're a breeze to get through. They are in Spanish. I know sometimes like foreign movies are a lot for people because they're like, oh, I don't want to read the subtitle. Just get over it. Like it's so easy. Just I don't know. They're making it as easy as possible for you. The words are on the screen.
I sometimes get more invested when there's subtitles in a film.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I do.
Do you watch like English movies with the closed captioning on?
I try not to.
Okay.
Usually at home, if I'm watching it on the TV, I will. If I have like earpods or something in my ears, then I will try to turn subtitles off.
Yeah, because that's the thing is just a lot of movies you miss something, just whether it's like an important plot detail or character stuff. Like,
well, I have similarly a couple recommendations on my end. Creepy films, not necessarily horror exactly,
okay.
but I've been watching a couple films by Michael Haneke or Haneke,
Yes.
believe is the German director of Funny Games, which I was able to watch the original on Funny Games. If you have not seen this movie, it has been replicated in so many different ways by so many different movies. This combined with American Psycho has really like cemented an entire generation of filmmakers And it's so fascinating going back and watching Funny Games, which is it's very demented and very dark, almost Yorgos Lanthimos ish,
'Cause it's also,
very
like, really,
early.
like, menial, like,
Yes.
it's so mundane, but it's so terrifying.
And we are just watching all this pointless violence. And the question is, why are you watching this pointless violence? And that's exactly the question that the film is trying to make you ask yourself, which is great. So in that way it does it. But I was more interested in an earlier film of his called Benny's Video, which is about a middle school or early high school age boy who was basically neglected by his very rich parents, or they basically let him do whatever he wants to do. And he decides to live his life through videos, through going and renting videos and viewing any kind of videos he can, and to the point where he doesn't even have windows in his room. He shuts off all his windows and he puts a video camera in his window so he can have a live feed of what is going on outside on a television to
Oh
watch
my
like
god.
what is going on in his life. But basically it turns out, as you'd expect, he's inspired or curious by all these violent things that he's seeing in video. And he decides that out of the blue that he's going to commit a murder, and things kind of spiral out from there. Fascinating, fascinating film. I highly recommend it. It has a lot to say more about parents and parenting than it does about the inner psyche of this child. Like
Okay, so how old is the kid?
the kid's like middle school, high school aged.
No.
So I would say like, yeah, I would say like
Oh, that's
16
bad.
years old, which makes this a very, very, very interesting watch nowadays. And I think it's one of those rare films that could be remade and have more to say now than it did then.
Yeah.
Uh, we're talking like TikTok and social media and other forms of content that we are just ingesting.
Yeah, live streaming has never been so popular.
It's true. And we have had some live streaming movies. Time has been kinder to this film than it has to Funny Games. So if you're going to see one of those two, I recommend Benny's Video. And then, of course, watch Funny Games. You can watch those on the Criterion channel. Then you can also catch them on HBO Max.
The
There you go.
crossover of, like, things that are on Criterion Channel and also on HBO Max is, like, really interesting. I kinda wanna know, like, what's behind that because like, HBO has TCM, but that's a different thing.
I don't know because these are also listed. Anytime I get a Criterion channel recommendation on HBO Max, there's a bunch of other films that are on the Criterion channel currently that are suggested and recommended underneath. So there must be some link where maybe we're getting some of these films on HBO Max, but not all of them.
Convenience isn't gonna kill us all.
No, but the grid might.
Oh, well, I have questions.
Let's go into the grid real quick. Tron Ares, the long awaited sequel to Tron Legacy from 2015, which was the long awaited sequel to the original Tron from 1982. It's been 15 years since the last one. I feel like it's going to be another 15 years until we get another one of these.
Do you think we're
Because,
gonna?
woof, I think that the IP is too rich enough for them to not go back to the watering hole.
It seems like one of those things where, like, you need someone who's high up in the company to be like, "Hey, Tron was, like, my favorite movie growing up. Let's make another one." It feels like
Or
that's kind
of
of the thing that starts any of these Tron movies. Like, I say any of them, either of the 2 sequels. I feel like it's just a dude being like, "I really liked this as a kid."
That's what Jared Leto did with Tron Ares. He basically was like, "Why aren't you guys making another Tron? I want to help it. I want to help make it." And that's part of the predicament that we're in today. But Tron Ares follows two competing tech giants, Encom and Dillinger Systems, as they search for the permanence code to bring AI and digital beings and things that exist in the grid into real life. And we meet both CEOs of the companies who are both dealing with their own things and have two very different ways of bringing about or what their end goal is to bringing these things into the real world. One is focused on war and the other one is focused on finding new ways to bring life to the world. It's very cut and dry.
Yeah.
Tucker, what did you think about Tron Ares?
I thought a lot of things about Tron Ares. Um, None particularly great. Other than, unsurprisingly, what a banger soundtrack from Nine Inch Nails. I was wondering, why are we labeling this as soundtrack by Nine Inch Nails instead of just soundtrack by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross? Because that's usually how they're credited. And then
Yes.
one of the songs Trent Reznor just was singing on, and I was like, okay, that's the difference. Like in Challengers, there's no bit where he's like, wow,
Right.
love Nine Inch Nails. But this movie was very confusing to me.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who did not rewatch Tron Legacy and has never seen Tron, original Tron, I was like, I think I get this. And then like 10 minutes in, I was like, I don't think I get this. I don't think I know what this is about. I really enjoyed like the initial setup that they were doing with like the first scene has Evan Peters like programming Ares, and you kind of
Yeah.
see how he's just typing on a screen and you see how Ares is interacting with it. I was like, oh, this is dope. But then immediately I just had like 5,000 questions, and hopefully I'll get some answers.
Yeah. I hope I can answer some of them for you, Tucker. I had a great time with Tron Ares. I saw it twice. I've seen it twice already. I think it's a visual feast. I wouldn't say masterpiece. Tron Legacy is a visual masterpiece to me.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
a stunning film. The designs, I think they carried a lot of that stuff over and did it well. I wouldn't say it's perfect by any means, the transition into this new era of Ares, but I think there was enough there for me to enjoy the plot, go along for the ride, and just be thoroughly entertained by the whole thing. Yes, there are a lot of questions that you could have watching this movie about why and how, but I don't necessarily think that those are things that will weigh me down in my viewing experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hopeful that I can answer questions for you.
Okay, first big question. It was immediate. I was like, I think I'm understanding this. And then when you're in, is it called the grid anytime you're in a computer, or is that specifically for like the OG Tron?
From what I understand in this new mythology that we're building right now is that there are multiple grids. So
Multiple
basically
grids.
anytime you can create a grid, which is basically like I kind of think of it as like a computer or the cloud system that we all are like connected to. So, for example, if you have, let's use very basic terms, Google Drive and iCloud, those are not connected whatsoever, but there are a
But
bunch
there's
of
little
devices that
guys running
do
around
connect it.
inside of it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So
So
I think
what's
that
the big
that's
beam of light?
the big beam of light is how you enter and exit the grid.
Okay.
That's how information is dispersed through to the grid, and that's how you exit it. In the classic films, in order to exit the grid or send information from the grid to the real world, you would take your identity disk, lift it up, and go with. And then the identity disk would be like shot up into the sky above you. That's where you have that like classic image
Yeah.
of Jeff Bridges. I think it's Jeff Bridges holding up, yep, like that. That might be Tron though, in that, and not necessarily Kevin Flynn. But we'll
There's
get
another
to
thing. I
the
found
idea.
out Tron is a guy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Tron's a guy. He's not in this movie. There's
Was
no
he in
Tron
Tron
in Tron
Legacy?
Ares. He was in Tron Legacy. He played a character. Well, he didn't play a character. He was reprogrammed by the villain in that Clue to be the Rensler. And at the end of the film, you realize, oh, he's been reprogrammed. This is a reprogrammed Tron. And he kind of wakes up and is reprogrammed back to be Tron. And the idea of the third film, which was going to be called Tron Resurrection or Tron Tron Ascension was the name of the
Okay.
original third film that was going to be created, was that we were going to get what happens to Tron after he is reawoken. But they said, let's
Interesting.
not do that.
They said, let's make a weird, sad version of Free Guy.
Yes.
That's what this
they
felt
did.
like to me a little bit. Just the Jared Leto character being like, so like we got to say Ares is the name of Jared Leto's character in this movie. Ares is I like manifested
Yes.
into a person. So does that mean and like Tron is Tron AI or is he just a video game character who has like a life? Okay, is this a computer or a video game? I'm so confused.
So originally in the original Tron, the idea was that Kevin Flynn had programmed all these games, right? And all these games were connected to the Incom system or the Incom grid. And within that grid, there was this master control unit who was like an AI chat GPT kind of thing.
Okay.
Because these games were connected to the Incom grid, and the master control system was trying to control the Incom grid, if the master control unit found programs that he didn't like or wanted to punish, he would send them to the video games so they could fight to the death.
Okay. So being a person who's seen these movies, did you feel like this was kind of like easy to understand? This new one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was easy to understand. I think this film is I think Tron Ares is more interested in explaining how this world works than it is with expanding the lore of Tron,
Okay.
which can work in some circumstances and also doesn't work at all. Because on the one hand, you get really cool ideas like how multiple grids can be connected or how we can hack into different systems. And what does that look like? What is the physical manifestation of that look like? There's a lot of cool ideas here, but there's not a good story here. And there's no expansion of the story from the first one or the second one, really. So you kind of have to level it out. Like, am I okay with just going along for this MacGuffin chase in the Tron world? Or do I want like more expansion on the legend of Kevin Flynn and his son, Sam Flynn? I'm fine with it. I'm having fun with it. I think I let it go and I just said, all right, this is the story that they want to tell. But it is frustrating that there is this MacGuffin, this permanence code that
I
is.
hate that it's called the permanence code.
So I have after seeing it last night, I think that what might have been added in post because anytime they mention the permanence code, there's ADR and there's also these recut shots that look like they were filmed later on. So I wonder if it was never a code, but it was just the idea of permanence. And later on, Disney was like, hold on, this is not a concept that people can
You need to
understand. We need to
physicalize
turn
it
it,
into something.
because it doesn't make sense. And if you rewatch that scene with Jeff Bridges, which serves no purpose, honestly,
It was very
other
confusing
than
to me. I don't know what Jeff Bridges is in this movie. He's like a
he's
he's like a
great.
digital angel. It's fucking weird.
He is a digital angel. He's just, he's AI Jesus, basically.
Is he AI Jesus or is he AI God and Jared Leto is AI Jesus? Because he's
Kevin
giving
Flynn is Well, Kevin Flynn's the creator of the grid, right? So in that way, I
yeah.
guess he is the God, the creator of this universe.
Jeff Bridges is a treasure. I'm glad he was in this movie, even though I did not understand what he was doing.
There are a lot of similarities between this film and the sequel series of Star Wars that I think could be like delved into, and like, what is the problem with Disney, this modern Disney from 2018 onward, doing these legacy sequels? Because this is kind of rebooting Tron. I saw it with Brandon last night, my friend Brandon. He had never seen any of them. He walked out being like, hell yeah, that was like sick. It made no sense and it was funny as hell, but sick. Yeah, but like the use of characters, the use of these hero type characters between, you could compare the use of Luke, Leia, and Han to the use of Flynn in this movie, and you're just kind of like, okay, so what is your role? What is your purpose here? But that's actually not, and we won't get into this because then we'll end up talking about this forever. But that's actually not Kevin Flynn. That's a digital recreation of him that has been saved to this grid.
So is Flynn dead? Can you die in the grid?
Well, yes, you can die in the grid.
Okay.
But Flynn lives. The idea is that Sam saved his father to basically like a thumb drive, and he's still out there somewhere.
Okay. All right.
See, here's the thing. If you
That
don't
sounds
like
interesting,
Tron,
man. Make a movie about
but
that.
well, yeah, if you don't like Tron, I get it because it sounds weird and you're like, that makes no sense. But just the weird, fucked up few of us who are like, what? That's so cool. Like, this is the most like metal movie ever.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So anyway, that being said, script is genuinely terrible 90% of the time. I'm looking forward to this coming out so I can make a fan edit where I just cut a lot of shit out of this. I don't think you need that entire opening sequence of exposition through
Newsreels.
television, newsreels. There are so many scenes where
You can cut out the
it's
amount of
like,
times that dude says, I'm going to have a burrito.
a burrito in this.
Oh my God, I've had 38 burritos. I'm like, dude, this movie's been on for 3 minutes. Stop talking about burritos.
It really has. Really has.
I think the issue, you were talking about the Star Wars sequel series and Disney with these legacy sequels. I think the issue is these are started, this especially feels like it started from the idea of we should make another Tron movie. You know, we haven't done it in a while. We could do that instead of starting from, hey, I have a pitch. I have an idea for what would be the cool new Tron movie. You're kind of reverse engineering it from just like that. We want to, you know, we haven't made Tron in a while. You know, little boys don't want to watch Marvel movies. They want video game movies now. Fucking Tron's kind of that.
But I do think this was started from a good pitch of an action. I don't think that there's a story there. Like, what if program go real world? Okay, cool. What if bad program go real world? Okay, really cool. Then they're like, okay, so where do we go from there? Don't know. The pitch needs to be a story, not just a concept, right? Not just an action. And I think that's what this film was ultimately missing. And that's why it feels very paint by numbers at times. But when my seat starts shaking and when those light rings they pop out, when the light cycles start running and I see those neon lights going crazy, I don't care what the story is, Tucker. I'm gonna be seated, and I'm a fanboy, and I can fully admit that. So,
well, I'm happy for you.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, Tucker, are you going to be tossing or catching Tron Ares?
I'm going to be tossing Tron Ares.
Okay.
You know, there was nothing for me to latch on to this movie. It's not even like they had a likable actor at the center of this that I could be like, you know, I don't understand the plot or the logic behind this movie, but at least you got some dude that I love. No, like there really was nothing for me to hold on to with this movie other than an amazing Nine Inch Nails score. How did you feel about how? I'm so curious. Would you catch or toss this?
I am going to catch Tron Ares. This film has basically no story. It is a MacGuffin chase, very similar to The Rise of Skywalker in many ways, from the ways it uses its legacy characters like Kevin Flynn to its legacy settings like the original grid, similar to how they kind of use Leia and the original Death Star in Rise of Skywalker. However, this is a visual delight, and it is so stunning to see in 3D, and the soundtrack is incredible. The choreography and the fight scenes are impeccable, and most of the time these chase sequences, though they are boring at the core of the story, are thrilling at the outset. So I'm going to catch Tron Ares.
Biggest catch of the year.
Biggest catch of the year, guys. Remember one battle? I'll remember.
Tron Ares, baby.
Tron Ares, y'all. Okay, Tucker, give me a little quick rundown of what you thought about Black Phone 2. What was your relationship to the original Black Phone?
Okay, so I saw the first Black Phone when it came out in theaters. I was living up in Chicago, I'm pretty sure. I thought it was kind of a mid movie with some cool story and cool lore to it. Rewatched it earlier this week, the first one. And I kind of still hold the opinion that the movie is a really really a mixed bag. It's got great performances in it, but something about the dialogue, people do not talk like real people. But the thing that keeps
It's
you
a
engaged is this like core story. What were we gonna say?
it's a very dialogue heavy film, which is surprising
Yeah.
whenever you sit down for it.
Yeah, but it's got a cool ghost story thing to it where like these, dead children are communicating, but they can only communicate with Finney and they can only communicate with him through a telephone. And I believe it's always a telephone that doesn't work. So in the first movie, he's kidnapped by the grabber, he's put in a basement, he can hear the grabber's past victims through a disconnected phone line. This movie, it feels like it's been 10 years since the first one just because of how big Mason Thames has gotten. He looks like a man now. I was kind of shocked when I found out that the other movie came out like 3 years ago. I thought it was like 9 years.
Yeah.
But the thing that works about this movie is Mason Thames has not only grown physically, he's grown as an actor quite a bit. Got a couple of really, really stellar scenes in this movie where he gets to showcase just a wide range of just emotions. Still don't think anybody talks like a real human. That did not get
Unfortunate.
fixed in this sequel. The sequel also, it's not my problem with the first Black Phone was it wasn't very scary, and that's kind of my problem with this one too. It's just trying, it's not like a Mike Flanagan movie where you're like, oh wow, this is a real drama and then it's also a horror
Mhm.
movie. It's a real hokey, trying to wear its heart on its sleeve movie when I really think it should be leaning a little bit more into like the grisliness of this all. So we really don't get a lot of grabber in this movie.
From the trailers, it looks like it is going to be a very graphic, very slasher film.
Yeah. And it's like they keep evoking that without actually giving it to you, but they'll talk a lot about, these dead kids from the past and you're trying to figure out what happened to them. And like truly the scariest sequences of this movie is anytime you go into a dream or anytime you go into like the flashback or the spirit world or whatever, they shoot that all on 8mm. So it's
Oh
grainy,
shit.
ugly, it's distressed. You're watching basically children get killed, but it looks like a snuff film. And then they'll cut you
Yeah.
back to like just the most hokey, like we're trying to, be totally emotional. It's kind of just like trying to have its cake and eat it too. And I'm like, you kind of have to pick one of those tones.
It looks like this is written by it was written by Scott Derrickson, who directed the first film and the second film, and C. Robert Cargill. And
Yeah,
they
that's his
both,
writing part.
oh, okay.
They
So
work
they
on like
wrote
most of their
both of
movies
them.
together.
Maybe they needed a new script supervisor.
I definitely think Derrickson got final cut on this movie just because of the amount of like fat that is in it.
Mm.
There's
Could you see this being like a trim 90-minute film, or do you need all of that backstory? Like, what's the point of this movie? Because originally, I know that the first film, he was trying to process a lot of grief and depression, which is ultimately why he dropped out of where Scott Derrickson, the director of Black Phone and Black Phone 2, dropped out of directing Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, so he could pursue this project.
I think the thing that recommends it is in the first movie, the children are dealing with an abusive alcoholic father on top of him getting kidnapped and on top of the sister having these dreams of spirits and these visions. This movie continues that arc of the father who is sober now and trying to earn redemption from his children. While
Okay.
this is happening with the dad, he is trying to make an effort to be in his children's life after being horrible to them. Finney, our main character, is also trying to deal with his trauma of being kidnapped and locked in a basement and having to murder somebody. So he's trying to numb that pain with weed. And there is a mirror situation going on with the father who was trying to drown his sorrows with alcohol, and that turned him into a certain thing, and it's kind of turning the son into a certain thing. So that really is the thing that I can recommend this movie for, is that is done extremely well. I think that story is kind of the story. I don't think it is a great slasher movie, surprisingly, which
And that
is a
sounds
little
very
sad.
personal to Scott Derrickson as well. That's probably why it works so well, is he was able to imbue a lot of that
And that's when
into
the
this
acting is at
film.
its best too, honestly.
And that's how it
Like,
was with
they're
the
all
first
delivering.
one too.
Well, yeah, no, the first one's got some scenes in it that are so rough to watch because of how well they're selling it, and the personal viewpoint this must have been written from.
Will you be catching or tossing Black Phone 2?
I'm gonna be catching Black Phone 2. I did like this overall. I do think it's got a lot of shag. I do think it's got a lot of stuff that can be trimmed off of it. But I do think it is a movie with a lot of heart. It's just trying to be a movie with a lot of heart that's also extremely grisly. And that can kind of give you a tonal whiplash where you're like, I don't know if I totally buy 100% of this.
Yeah.
But I'd watch another one.
Well, does it leave it open for another one?
Can't remember.
I guess if we'll make enough money, we'll get another one. Because that's the way the world works.
I think it's going to do fine. I think people are like really into.
For some reason, it really resonates. I think it's the design of the mask ultimately.
The mask, oh my God, it's incredible.
So good. It's a great mask.
Yeah. I think it's also that. It's also the fact that the movies take place in the 80s. And that's just, people just love.
Well, as Ares said in Tron Ares, the 80s, man.
Yeah. Depeche Mode.
Oh, brother. Well, thanks, Tucker, for catching up this week on Tron Ares and Black Phone 2. We're going to be taking another week off while we try to figure out what's going to be the future of this podcast. We really enjoyed talking about new releases, but we've also found that we really enjoy talking to other people about what their favorite movies are. Maybe we want to get into a little bit of history. Maybe we want to talk a little bit about production, more Criterion stuff. We have some soul searching to do, so we're going to take a week off before we come back and reintroduce ourselves. We're still going to be catching and tossing releases.
In the meanwhile, guys, if you want to subscribe to us or follow us on any of your platforms of choosing, and it wouldn't be hurtful to leave a comment or two. What's the worst you could lose? You could comment on our appearances, whatever you want. No, don't
you
do that.
Lose. You lose nothing. However, don't bully.
Don't bully us. But leave a comment, maybe.
You can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at ReelItInPod, and we're on every podcast platform of choice. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Deuces.
Bye.